I would love to hear some of your dreams or images or sounds or peoples that were in
Mhm.
your dreams, Crystal.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like when I like kind of started, I felt like just very full of images and people and groupings and like abundance again, right? Abundance. Um and and also like need, a need for um building, right? And building things and yeah, and a dream of really like also personally for me to be able to live and to share. Um and um and when I say like to share, I mean like I feel like almost everything I've done has been about like bringing people in, sharing ideas and thoughts, but also resources, right? So it's almost like I imagine like just circles, 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 like connecting, disconnecting, and connecting again. Um, uh, it reminded me of like when I was a kid and I used to have a dream a lot about like flying, but not like flying on my own, but like hugging like this sort of round thing. It was kind of like a ball or something, I don't know. And it was almost like I could then hand it off and let other people fly, and then I would always get it back, right? Um, so yeah, so I was thinking about that particular thing and but also how when I feel when I feel like I could have enough, like it just makes me even more generous and more generous and more generous. And I feel like, yeah, that there is this like thing about like I don't want to just like hold on to stuff. And I feel like if I can like let go and not like let go and throw away, but let go as in like, ooh, everybody see this, have this, share this, that I get so much more back, right? Um, so then I also was thinking about trust, trusting myself, trusting the work we want to do, trusting you, trusting the people who we've already worked with and the people we might work with, and trusting that we have something good to offer that hopefully creates more good in the world. And good can mean a lot of things in a lot of different places. But yeah, I mean, I want to grow goodness. How about you?
I felt the same fullness, and immediately what ended up happening was a feeling of invitation. And in some ways, John and I, like it went on this like immediate moment of like John and I being invited to this community that's somewhere else and like actually being invited as guests. And then really thinking about what it would mean like for that literally to happen in the world that I want in the future as someone that's literally white, right? Like, and so because the invitation wasn't just a random invitation, it was an invitation to a whole community of folks somewhere in the middle of the country. I don't know where it was, but it was somewhere forested and it was beautiful and it was lush. And like suddenly in my mind, I was like, and the land has already been returned as a result of that. So that invitation is coming from someone else. It is actually, And for that invitation to actually occur, that means that they trust John and I enough to actually be good guests, to be invited. Do you know, like suddenly I was like, oh, so suddenly there's trust here. And then that trust is not just a trust of John and I, but what that means is that the power itself has changed so significantly that those that have like held on to like wanting to dehumanize all of the people that have been weird and queer and different, and all of the people that have been disabled and Black and Indigenous, all peoples that have been ripped to margins, and the ways in which all of that dehumanization has happened and the way that power holds on to that dehumanizing process actually doesn't exist in power any longer, that there's actually been a significant enough power shift to actually allow for this invitation to happen like that. And suddenly I was like, wow, that's really big. And I was like, and then I was like, but let me, and then I literally got fearful of the vision that I was seeing, because it was like, well, that is like beautiful. And I don't know that I'll ever see that in my lifetime. And then that made me, fearful and sad. And then suddenly I was back in my home and I was like, well, how am I creating that invitation right here? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and how can we still, even in this moment, cultivate this thing where like, suddenly I saw it as like that inner cosmic thing that we were talking about, right? Like so much of our own internal guides have been chipped away by having to compromise our values in so many different ways, that is the process of the dehumanization process, is all of those compromises, the compromise myself of like knowing that I'm still going to eat meat. Do you know what I'm saying? Knowing that meat is literally contributing to our planet. All of these compromises that we make contribute to that dehumanizing process. And yet they're similar to you talking about that care. There's still a core in which, yeah, that happens. And I can still think of my politics of not being a politics of dehumanization, but a politics of care, a politics of belonging, a politics of cultivation and actually moving us forward in that way. And then suddenly I was like, virtual portals. And then suddenly I was like in these portals in my own room where I was like able to connect with people, because we need to cultivate, as you mentioned, that community in order to literally hold on to that, like build the walls against the dehumanization so that we can allow our own core of care to grow, so that we can be making better choices politically and civically. And that was kind of where I went.
Oh. Yeah. I think, for me, I think that like these dreams, this moment, like, of dreaming, but also in this moment of what you and I are trying to do. Yeah, a lot of what you're saying here and what I've been feeling, I feel like, and what I felt in my dreams, it speaks to this thing, right? Because I think, I think you hit on something very particular and important, right? It's the ways that, capitalism and white supremacy and all of the other isms, and I don't mean to make those isms smaller, but, I mean, at the end of the day, it feels like to me that like all, most of the isms are really like in service to capitalism, you know, and this sort of like this drive to like sort of dehumanize us and us, and how we participate in that, right? And part of like, for me, part of what I see as what I want to do and what feels important to me is like offering spaces for like, for us as people and as groups, and to bring all who we are, and to like this spaces where we can like almost rehumanize ourselves. um and one of the ways I feel like we do that is like by actually seeing the ways we've been dehumanized, right, and seeing the pressures that come to bear. And I've talked about this before as thinking about like locating our dreams, right? And like, because I've been thinking a lot about that, what's been given to us. Um, I think about like America, for instance, right? And I think about like, that phrase, all you can eat. And then I think about what can you swallow? And I think we've just been swallowing a lot and not like knowing, it's kind of like that thing of like eating cotton candy, right? Which is tasty, but it's not very nutritious, and it doesn't, I mean, it, and maybe for a moment it gives you some sort of joy, and joy is important, like, any moment of joy is important, but you also can't live on cotton candy, even like as joyful as it is in that moment, right? So, so I think about like, how can we expand the space? And of also, when I say expand the space, about what's possible. Because I think also what happens is the system we live in, it kills our dreams, right? It literally kills our dreams and makes our dreams small and like, and sort of boring, right? so so yeah, I mean, I feel like what my dreams keep telling me is that you know we need more spaces to imagine something better, to imagine what we actually need and want, and to, because again, we're so affected by all the stuff that's being poured into us, right?
I personally am incredibly grateful for the space today, even,
Hmm.
on a very practical level, not just on a kind of organizational level. I think that that's, we often talk about like this in terms of our business. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we're recording in terms of videos and why we started this. But like
Uh-huh.
even in listening to you just now, like I've just been really, I've been really full over the last few days, but I've also been really full because I've been reading a lot and having to synthesize a lot of inequity. And in that process of synthesizing a lot of inequity, I've also had moments of members in my life going through mental health crisis. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just,
Hmm.
I receive a lot of that from people, and it's not
Yeah.
a negative thing, but it's just something that people like. I'm a receptacle and a receiver because people trust me with their story and trust me to listen and not offer advice.
Right.
Right. And it's great. And also it's been happening amidst all of this looking at racial inequity in the arts, specifically around financing and financial
Hmm.
trading. And so all of those things combined, I know for myself has really brought me to places of anxiety and uncertainty over the last number of days. Like
Yes.
even just yesterday was like a really depressive day for myself. I don't think, and so today I felt like a shift in that. Do you know what I'm saying? Of like, yes, I can still be here. I'm still working towards this much larger thing, even if in the moment there is pain and I am receiving a lot that it sometimes is overwhelming. And yes, maybe I could do a little bit better on some boundary setting on some levels, but on another level, our community just needs people to listen to us sometimes. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's all is needed.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I feel very grateful for the practicality of 10 minutes in this moment to allow myself even a moment to shift emotionally towards the thing that I really want to be doing and working and creating and co-creating with you. So I just want to say thank you because it has real application for myself in my own life, literally in this moment.
Yes. Yes. I agree. And I mean, not so much I agree, but I feel that as well, right? I feel that for myself. And I've just heard it from so many other people, right? That just to have like a moment sometimes to be with your own thoughts, feelings, motions, and desires is just like special thing. And something that we don't give ourselves so much. And that's definitely not given to us, right? And so I, you know, it's kind of like I go back, I'm thinking about sustainability, right? And like what sustains us. And so for me, it's also given me like this space to really think about what sustains me. And one of those things is like relationships. And and uh and so when I get to be like in relationship with people and to have like this sort of time and space and to talk about what's really important to me and to listen and to hear what's important to other people, it is sustaining, and sustaining in a way that, to be quite honest, even a couple of years ago I didn't even imagine.
Mhm.
Because in honest, I mean honestly, um it somehow another, this like concentrating on relationships has just opened up a lot of other things for me and a lot of other possibilities. And I would like to see and share that with other people, but also just for the theme, right? Of having these relationships. And yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Well, I feel like this is a great little transition, actually, for us naturally. Hi, everyone else on the other side of this screen that has been jumping right in with us to talk about dreaming. And this really is what Queering Dreams is all about. It is about Crystal and I co-creating something together and sharing the co-creative process with other people on the other side of the screen. And we are still in the process of figuring all of the bits and bots and every little thing about it out. So today, Crystal actually led us through a series of exercises. And so I think it would be really helpful, now that everyone has kind of jumped right into our dreams, let's peel back the layers just a little bit. And let's talk a little bit about how we structured our time so that we actually could talk about our dreams. So Crystal, you brought an incredible agenda for all, in plain speak, an agenda for our meeting today, even though it's neither of those things.
right.
It is both of those things simultaneously. And you came having already thought about this. So what
Yeah.
were some of the offerings that you brought with to the space today?
Well, I knew that today we would be talking a bit about like our values and the values we wanted to bring to, starting this business, right? And so I thought one way that would be good to help us with that is to dream. But like for me, when I think about dreaming, I also think about seeding those dreams. So what I did is like I suggested that we take 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to just write, pre-write, like our thoughts, our hopes and desires, and things we wanted to be, and things we wanted to bring, and things we wanted to share. And so we did that. And then we took about another 5 minutes just to say the words and phrases and to flush it out a little bit. And like, we talked about things like sustainability. We talked about things like community. We talked about like, yeah, like all of the antis, the anti-racism, anti-sexism, anti-capitalism, all of those things, right? And then we took 10 minutes to actually dream. And what that like encompassed was just to sort of get comfortable, to sort of clear our minds a bit, and to let our own minds wander in that field that we had already populated with those words and phrases, thoughts, ideas. And then we came back and we started talking about like what those dreams sort of looked like for us. And yeah, and in that way, I feel like we, even though you and I know each other, and we've known each other for a while, I feel like what this kind of allows us to do is to like to have even a deeper idea of where we want to go together, and what we want to create together, and you know, sort of the places we'd like to go. And with this business, um, and yeah, so I feel like, you know, it kind of gave us some space to like to go a little deeper.
Thank you for that beautiful summary, Crystal, because that feels very fertile for others too, because I think, you know, as you're watching this, if you've stayed through this, you're obviously interested in the things that we're actually talking about. And so these are tools that you also kind of apply. And I think that that is one of the things that we are really interested in within our own kind of business development and kind of how we're thinking about growing queering dreams, is that it's not just part of the reason we're doing these kinds of videos for all of you watching is, one, for us to work through this, but also in the process of working through this to be able to share how we structure, how we think. One of the things I've heard, Crystal, having worked with you now for a while in a variety of different contexts and bringing the dreaming in, is that we do have a different way of thinking about these things, and that it does help others to sit down and just take a breath for just a second and like create just a little bit of space, because often we don't just give ourselves the space.
Exactly.
You know, and for me, one of the things is dreaming is a wonderful practice. I feel like I have a fairly decent dreaming practice myself individually. I know you do too. But dreaming in community with others is another kind of dreaming practice. And that's really what we are bringing to Queering Dreams, so that while we can talk about these things and we can share these tools with all of you, and you can do them on your own, our ultimate goal is really cultivating a community that's dreaming together. So, you know, within that, I know we've talked about some of the things that we want to be doing, but now that we've done the dreaming side and we've talked a little bit about the process side, and we've shared with our viewers just a little bit more about kind of how we're heading, where we're heading, and the purpose of these videos, what are some of the places that you want us to focus our work on? Do you know what I'm saying? And I have some ideas here too, but I'd love to hear some of your ideas in terms of like, how do we generate this community of queering dreams and people who are queering dreams, maybe whether or not they identify as queer or not.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's also, that's important, because you know, like we talked about in the first video, that like the word queer is not necessarily about, you know, like sexuality or whatever. It is also about challenging structures, right? It is also about like a willingness to look at and deconstruct the status quo, and to ask questions, right? And to interrogate. So basically, anybody who's willing to interrogate their own thoughts and beliefs there, and like, and to do that in community, which is sometimes scary, you know? So we're also kind of offering a spaces for vulnerability, you know, to be vulnerable with each other. And I feel like that's something that's really important these days, right? Because in some ways, you know, we're in a fight together. a fight for a new world, because we need a new world. As I think a lot of you already know, and also already feel. So, this is also like, this is a way to like, this is one of the reasons we use the word comrades, because we're in a battle. We're in a battle for really our lives, like all of us. Um, because, if this planet becomes uninhabitable, it won't matter, like, who you are or where you stand, I mean, so, we're in a fight for our lives. And, we're trying to say that there's like ways and means, and, that we know that I feel like we have inside of us, right? But we can't get to because we're busy grinding all the time. We're busy like trying to, live just to live, right? I mean, so yeah, I don't know. That's a lot.
No, I think that's great. And one thing I want to throw in here is that the word comrade, yes, I agree. We have Crystal and Jason's comrade questionnaire. I want to do a big plug. Please, please, please fill that out, because as we talk about cultivating relations, I think one of the central tenets under those relations, as evidenced by our dreams that we shared at the outset of this video, is cultivating trust and being able to cultivate trust with one another. Yeah, go for it. And welcome back.
Life.
So we were talking about the comrade questionnaire. I really want to encourage everyone on the other side to fill it out, because we really need to be able to also cultivate trust among each other, among Crystal and ourselves. So within that questionnaire, it's going to take you less than 10 minutes. And I actually have a suggestion that I would like to make publicly with you, Crystal, for some next steps, if you're cool with that.
All right, yeah.
I would love to just first take a look at who in the survey said that they wanted to co-create with us.
Mm-hmm.
As like the start, because we're still in our generative process of co-creation. You and I are in a process of co-creation. And I would love to do literally maybe this exact same thing that we just did with ourselves, but with that group around applying dreaming towards co-creating. And whether that, leads us towards, co-creating you and me and other people in that call, or whether that's someone else going off and just doing something else. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But being kind of like maybe one good low-hanging fruit to kind of continue building, and now to expand it out just a little bit would be anyone that's filled out that comrade questionnaire. Another incentive to go fill out that questionnaire.
Yes.
Being invited into a space for dreaming around co-creating with Crystal and Jason, and seeing where that takes us with that community, while knowing that you and I are also working on some actual client-based work that we're also going to be sharing more behind the scenes about in subsequent videos, and we don't need to get into right this second. But I'm feeling like that would be a great way to engage the people that have already filled it out, continue building the trust with the people that have, given of themselves into that questionnaire, keep us building collectively towards the dreams that we both are sharing.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I would also encourage people to fill out the questionnaire, because, we really do want to create together, not just Jason and I creating together, but we want other people to be in this creative process with us and around us, because we don't have to be the focus. We mostly we want to generate ideas, possibilities, and part of one of the reasons we put out the survey is we wanted to see what interests people, what people need, what people want, and then to see what we can do about like maybe making those things happen, so. And when I say we, I don't mean just Jason and I, but the beauty of sharing your dreams is when you share your dreams in public and with other people, a tiny piece of your dream travels on, right? And travels out. And just by hearing your dream, someone else like grab a little piece of it, right? So again, it's like about multiplying and amplifying. So yeah, if you have 5 or 10 minutes, fill out the survey and yeah, be a part.
So Crystal, I feel like this is a nice natural conclusion to this little video that we've created for everyone today. Where can people find you online?
Okay, I have a Facebook page. It's relatively new. Please like it and follow it. It's called I Dream a World. You can find me also on Facebook at Crystal Mason. You can find me on Instagram at hamjob _1. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Lovely. You can find me on Instagram at Queerly Complex. You can find me on Facebook reluctantly as well. Also, I have Queerly Complex on Facebook, and you can visit a variety of different websites that I have. That is jasonwyman.com, queerlycomplex.com, or jasonwymanisqueerlycomplex.com. So that's a variety of different content you can find from me. We will be uploading this to YouTube as well, and we will be sharing this with everyone. So we are still in process of figuring out our exact web presence, and that will probably be a separate video where we'll share kind of some of the things around how we make decisions around that, because we don't have it yet. So any last words, Crystal?
Not really. I mean, I think we've said a lot and we've given people a lot to think about. Just, keep up with what we're doing. We'll try to let us know what you're doing, and how you might want to connect with us in any way. And yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Ciao.
Bye.